What is up, Oh my gosh, Andrew, what are you wearing?
What is this?
Wait, what am I wearing? Yeah. This is a perfect way to start an audio podcast for people who have no point of reference. Welcome to the Teardrop Pod, everybody. My name is Chris. I am one of the hosts of this fun little project we have, and I'm joined by my co-host, Mr. Andrew, who's wearing the exact same shirt as I am. How are you, Andrew?
Greetings, my fellow Final Fantasy VII Rebirth Orchestra lover.
Hello. Yes, lover of mine. I want everyone to know this was not planned. We both talked about this as soon as we turned our cameras on and had the exact same line of thinking, like, well, this is kind of funny. I'm wearing this shirt because I know we're recording today, but I'm sure the other guy's not going to wear it too, because we didn't even know for sure that the other person had bought this shirt. We were there together, but I didn't remember what he got. He didn't remember what I got, understandably so. And neither of us have, it's not even like, oh, we wear this all the time, so we could plan for this. Neither of us have worn the shirt since the concert until today. So
yeah, I've worn it like one time to like a Waffle House, and then I was like, I don't know if I want to wear this shirt in public.
Wild. See, this is...
And I was like, let me throw it on for the pod real quick. And as soon as I hop in the Discord, we both just go, no freaking way, dude.
Look at that.
It's so sick. It's so sick. We got that, and then there's this stuff on the back. Isn't there? Never mind. There's absolutely nothing on the back. I lied.
You just want to show the video people a little something. I know what you're up to.
I
know what you're up to.
Just throw it back a little bit on the cam.
Patreon, man. Come on now. No, but that's a fun little Easter egg for you video watchers. But thank you to every one of our watchers and listeners. Thank you for tuning back in. We apologize for our one little week break there. Life happens, and this is just something we do for fun. So that stuff is going to come up, but we are aiming to be as consistent as possible. So like I've said before, the best way to make sure you don't miss an episode is just to subscribe on YouTube and or Spotify and or on Apple Podcasts, all of which are the places you can find this little show we do. Please give us a like, a comment, a subscribe, a 5-star review. All those things are awesome and much appreciated. Just to give you guys a little update, this week's episode should go up on the normal time, hopefully, fingers crossed, which is a Wednesday. That's when we typically aim to upload, but next week is going to be a little different because there's a little video game company having a little video game presentation on Wednesday of next week, and that's Mr. Nintendo himself giving us the first concrete details on the Switch 2. And we were just talking and said, why would we wait a whole week to go over what is easily going to be the biggest news of the week? So we are going to upload late next week. Our goal is to record the day after on Thursday. So that's what day is that? Thursday the 3rd?
The 3rd. Yeah.
And hope to have the podcast up for you on Friday the 4th. That's the plan right now. Fingers crossed. But again, you don't have to worry about that. You're not going to remember little old us unless you have our subscription already set up, so it just pops up in your feed, and then it's a fun little surprise. A little Friday surprise for you. A little treat at the end of your week. So please look forward to that, which means that this week's episode is a little Nintendo Switch themed. Our topics, we've got a lot to cover since we took a week off. I'll be going over kind of a rapid fire review of some of the things I've finished, whether it's shows or games. And we are finally giving our long awaited, much anticipated impressions of the first 4 episodes of Daredevil.
4 episodes. Yeah.
That's something Andrew and I both watched, so we can both give our thoughts on that. Spoiler free at the beginning, probably jump into spoilers, but we'll make that clear. Then we're going to make some Switch 2 predictions, which should be fun. And we're going to wrap things up with the best games from the Switch library based off of some like our own criteria. It's not like a perfect science. We just threw a bunch of Switch games together that we are going to do real quick for you.
Knowing you, I know that you're going to make me very, very upset on this tier list today.
The funny thing is, so I'm kind of like the PlayStation guy. I feel like you're kind of the Nintendo guy.
This is true.
Some would say I'm a hater. I don't feel like I am. I just feel like I have slightly hotter takes on Nintendo stuff, especially. But we'll see. We got a lot of games
Chris,
to get
I think
through,
I think you have one of the hottest takes, maybe of all time. But we'll get to that one when we get to that one.
That we will.
Yeah.
But for now, before everyone gets mad at me, let's just I got a couple of things I want to update folks on. So in previous, I guess we'll start with the most recent update, which is that last week when we did our co-op episode, I was right at the end of Split Fiction, and I have since
I was wondering how you felt about this.
Yes, I have since beaten Split Fiction. Have you played it at all, Andrew? I think I remember you saying that you guys were thinking about starting it. Or
I haven't had a chance. I haven't had a chance to start it. We didn't even finish It Takes Two yet.
Right, that's what it was. Yeah. Well, American roast you for that one more time.
Yep.
No, just kidding.
I deserve it.
Yeah, so we finished Split Fiction. Not only did we finish Split Fiction, my wife and I went back and got the platinum for Split Fiction. So,
what?
I think I mentioned it last time, but there was one trophy on there that I was like, I don't know if we're going to be able to do this, which we platinumed.
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
But there was this one that was really tricky, and Mare didn't even want to attempt it, but there were enough easy ones that we knew we could go back and get. I was like, all right, we have a night. We're kind of just chilling. Let's go back and just do some trophy cleanup. And I knew, all right, once we get to this, that's the only one left. I'll be like, all right, let's just try it. Let's just see it. And I really was just going to try it, because if it seemed insurmountable, I wasn't just going to bang our heads against the wall here. But after a little bit of practice, we saw we were making more progress than we thought we were going to, and we persevered, and it felt great.
How long would you say it took you
for that one specific trophy?
For that one specific one, yeah.
Probably about 45 minutes. Yeah.
That's not too bad.
No, it was not nearly as bad as we thought. So, like I said, that trophy is.
I thought you were gonna be there a couple hours. Like,
I kind of did too, but no, we crushed it. It was one of those things where you have to beat like a gauntlet in one run without failing, and
sick.
So it kind of makes it to where you could go through it obviously and fail, but use that as a practice, which is what we did. And the first time we did it, we got all the way to the end, only like dying once or twice. And so that's why I was like, wait, no, we can actually do this, because when we went to just complete it normally for the first time in the game, it probably took us as long as it took us to beat it in like one run for the second go through. So that's just a testament to how much better we had gotten by the end, which is really cool to see as well. But as far as my ranking on that goes, I think the ending to this game is absolutely insane. It's completely bonkers. There's literally nothing I've ever played like it. It is from a tech.
I've heard so many like nutty things about the ending. Everybody's saying it's like one of the craziest things they maybe have ever seen.
From a technical standpoint, I just can't fathom how it's even possible. It just seems like it would be so hard to program it and have it run as well as it does. It's so creative. It feels like such a culmination. And yeah, Joseph Fares, the director, had said before how you're not going to believe it. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. And it's like, okay, but he's kind of a confident guy, a kooky guy. Is that going to be true? And he delivered yet again. At some point, I'm going to have to.
But I feel like he would say that whether it sucked or whether it was good. Yep. He'd be like, it's the best thing you've ever seen. Yep. Well, yeah.
He's still not a liar.
Love that guy.
So I do think retroactively, it was so funny. I asked Mare when we were done, so which do you think you like better, It Takes Two or Split Fiction? And like immediately she said Split Fiction. She pretty easily surpassed It Takes Two for her. And I do think that part of me was holding on, like It Takes Two, I think I mentioned this before, felt more fresh because it was so unique. And I was like, well, Split Fiction feels a little more iterative, but it is so good at being iterative that I do think, especially with that ending, which feels like a whole nother level, I would probably bump it up above It Takes Two as well, though I do still love that one. So for our tier list, I think the top tiers was Guitar Hero Rock Band, It Takes Two, Keep Talking, Nobody Explodes, and then Split Fiction. I would maybe swap It Takes Two and Split Fiction now.
Wow, really?
I want Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes to stay in its spot because it's so unique, and I don't want to put it at the bottom of S tier. I could just scoot, I guess, Split Fiction in front of It Takes Two, take it from fourth to second. But I think maybe that's more accurate. That's probably more accurate. But I do still love Keep Talking, Nobody Explodes. So that's how I would probably personally rank them now, just to give people an update. That game is fantastic. I'm sure you've heard about it at this point. Please go give it a play with someone you enjoy spending time with, or someone you don't, and then maybe you'll be friends by the end of it. That's kind of the whole story in and of itself. Spoilers.
Oh, dude, that's actually a really good idea. Dude, just go on Reddit, like, yo, whoever wants this buddy code, you have to play this game in Discord VC with me, or else.
Well, they had like a whole marketing campaign that they started where it was, if you can't find someone to play with, join our Discord and, find someone through that, which would be obviously a total stranger, which is
that's so sick.
Really crazy to me.
Like a gaming pen pal.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like there are going to be people that 10 years from now, 15 years from now, we're going to be hearing when they're promoting their third game from now, who are like, yeah, we met on the Discord trying to play Split Fiction together, and now we're best friends, or we're married, or whatever. It's
yeah. Dude, oh, that's such a cool thought.
That's going to happen. Like, their game is going to bring people together, which is just so unique. It's just so cool. I'm really glad that game exists. So
yeah, they kill it. I hope they keep killing it.
I have confidence in them. I am so curious if their next game is going to be single player or co-op, though, because they keep saying in the interviews that I've listened to since the game came out that, co-op is always going to be in our DNA, but, people aren't. It feels like they're speaking about it in a way that they might be trying to do something a little different this time, but I don't know if that just means something less similar than It Takes Two was to Split Fiction, or if they're going to do something like Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons, one of their earlier games that was like focused around two characters working together, but was obviously still single player. I don't know, but someone knows, because I don't know if you saw this. There's a story of this secret level that was hidden within the game that is super, super hard to get to, and then incredibly hard to actually finish. It's this laser hell
in
level.
Split Fiction.
Yeah.
I did see the laser hell level.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the first people who beat it and were able to prove it, like they uploaded a video to YouTube, it showed Joseph Ferris recorded a video to put in the game of him congratulating them and saying he would fly them out to their studio to show them a prototype of the next game. So those two people are gonna know what Hazelight is working on next, which is so cool. I mean,
that's insane. Yes, I saw the laser hell video on like my Twitter or something, and I thought that was the trophy that you're talking about. So the trophy that you're talking about is a completely different thing. Yes. I was like, dude, how are you and Mare gonna get through this? This looks crazy.
No, thank God, it is not that. I do want to kind of do a look at that whole level, because I've only seen clips and things from it, but even the very short clips I've seen of it look very hard. So yeah, I'm not gonna
very cool
that, but yeah, the game's great. So
sick.
Also finished Yakuza 0, which was really, really cool to put another notch in my Yakuza cap. That is, I finished 0, Man Who Races Name, Like a Dragon, and Infinite Wealth. So that's 4, which in any other video game franchise would be like, oh, you got to be done, right? And I'm not even like a third of the way through.
Oh no!
So yeah, I guess but it's fantastic. Don't have a ton more to say about it other than just really solidifies how much I love these games. Really just gives me a love for Japan. This is so uniquely coded to my taste. But do you know the show The Amazing Race?
Oh yeah.
It's this reality TV show where these teams of 2 go around the world trying to complete these challenges that take them all over the globe, and they are in Japan for the first 2 episodes of this season, and they go to Dotonbori, which is a real city in Japan that Sotenbori in the Yakuza games is a city that it's based off of. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that's the place from Yakuza.
That's from Yakuza. What?
It's just, and obviously like Persona, they have in P5, you have Shibuya Crossing and things like that. That's more like an actual recreation in some ways, but it's just so cool to see a series that is so unique, but so confident in what it wants to be and so consistent. So ending was really good.
How would you rank 0 among the other Yakuza games that you've played? Now that you have finished it.
That's so hard.
Do you like all of the other ones better than that one?
No, I definitely like it.
Or is there one that kind of falls off for you?
I definitely like it more than The Man Who Erased His Name. Okay. But that one's kind of a spin-off. So
right.
It's so hard, dude, because I love Ichiban so much. I mean, I know that Kiryu is who everyone loves because he was most people's first, but Ichiban being my first, and also just, I always said when I fell off of Yakuza 0 when I first played it that I felt like Ichiban, because the whole series is about this balance between melodrama and super dark and emotional moments, balanced with the absurdity and silliness of whatever insane thing they're getting into at the time. And I always felt like Ichiban was a better embodiment of that as a character too, because he is kind of a little bit more ditzy, and Kiryu is much more serious. But that's still, now that I've finished all of Zero, it still works for Kiryu because he makes it like it's like a deadpan approach where these crazy things are happening and he's just kind of like, what are you talking about? You know, it's like he's just like,
yeah, he kind of strikes me as that character in any cutscene that I've seen.
Yes, exactly. But Majima, the other playable character in Zero, kind of balances that out to where he's a little bit more kooky, but he's not in this one, which is a big appeal for me because, you know, I know him as like the Mad Dog is what they call him, and you get to see kind of why that happens to him in a way that is cool. So it has its, I have my biases because I love Ichiban so much and because I played 7 and Infinite Wealth first. But I did think about this question even before you asked it. I think I would put them, of the ones I played, Man Who Erased His Name at the bottom.
This is where it gets hard.
Yeah, it happened really quickly. Life comes at you fast. See, the hard thing is I have a hard time even ranking Like a Dragon because Infinite Wealth is a better game, but I love Like a Dragon more, if that makes sense. Like from a narrative standpoint, I think narratively, I have to give it. It could be recency bias, but I will say Man Who Erased His Name at the bottom, then Infinite Wealth, then Zero, then Like a Dragon.
Wow.
Yeah, that's probably how I'd put it.
Dang.
And I think Infinite Wealth is definitely the best game out of all those by a pretty wide margin, to be fair. But I think from a story standpoint,
just based on like story and like your sheer enjoyment.
Yes. And
kind of.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I would and that's just so important to those games. So I kind of have to value that a little bit more because there are other things that are obviously still really consistent. Like all of them have really fun and kooky side quests and these super extensive entire different side games. Like I don't even call them mini games because they're not small. It's like entire multi-hour long simulations or management things that you can do and all of them. So they all have the same DNA in them. But yeah, I don't know. Zero and Infinite Wealth could definitely swap in an even day. And if I was trying to be objective, I might even put Infinite Wealth higher just because I do think it's still the most fun to play. But I don't know.
One day we'll do once you finish all of the games, we'll run a Yakuza tier list. That would be just for you. So hard. I'll just be the moderator, and I'll just let you go to town, dude.
I'm gonna need to do a lot of prep for that. Some emotional homework to make sure I'm ready. So that'll be
You're gonna have an entire doc of just the pros and cons of every game.
Exactly. That's what I'm gonna do. Get my doctorate in, the whole thesis, all that. So yeah, they're fantastic.
Very
though.
Cool.
Please play the Yakuza games. And I will say, as a starting point, Zero is great. I mean, I think Like a Dragon is still a good starting point if you do want to just do the modern ones, but. And I stand by what I've said in the past, which is that I do think it's unreasonable to ask people to play 8 games in a series before they play the most modern one. And so if you want to play some of the newer ones, they are certainly still accessible. But I like that I'm at a point where I've played as many as I have, and I still love the series enough that I kind of want to keep going through the history of it in my own time, and maybe like balancing the new and the old. I think that's a testament to just how good the games are. But I don't want people to feel like they're so intimidated by the series by the size of the series that they have to start at 0 or they have to start at 7. But I do think they're both really good jumping on points, and I would encourage, depending on if you think you want to do the whole thing, obviously start with 0, or you could do with 0 and then jump to 7. The really funny thing about 0, which I don't think this is a spoiler, is you know how in a lot of movies, when you get to the credits scene, they'll show you like, this is what happened to Kevin 7 years later in the series or whatever. It's like they do that in Yakuza 0 for like kind of hinting at what happens to most of the characters in that game. So I kind of have an idea of some of the things
that's crazy.
Because obviously it's a prequel, but it came out, I think
after like
6 or something like that.
6. Yeah.
And so it was either after 5 or 6. And so it kind of hints at the things you would need to know to fill that gap. So obviously I don't know everything, but it is kind of funny to get a little bit of a tease of filling in some more of those gaps as well. So if you want to do 0 and then jump to the new ones, I also think that's a totally viable option. So lots of ways to go about it, but
very cool.
Just don't be afraid to jump in. So sorry, no, this is not gonna be the Chris show, so I'm just gonna rapid fire through some of these other things. I'm almost finished with Avowed. I am on the last. I'm literally at the point of no return. When you called me or messaged me, you're like, "Hey, I'm ready to go." I was like, "Damn it, I'm so close." I was hoping to give my final thoughts. I'll save my final thoughts on that, but I know we're going to be talking about a lot of Nintendo stuff in the future. All I want to say is that game has seriously moved up in my ranking personally for the year. I mean, there's not that many games I've played this year, but I have really, really fallen in love with that game. I think it's maybe the most fun combat of a first-person RPG that I've played. It's like a fantasy RPG, at least like that.
Wow. Okay.
It's just... the level design is so good. It is so fun to explore. It constantly feels rewarding. It's big without ever feeling overwhelming. The decision making that you do in the game is interesting. There are a lot of not clear cut decisions. It's certainly not perfect. It's one of those games. I sometimes hear people say that, this is a 7. I love like a 9, and I don't typically understand that thinking, but that is pretty much exactly where I am with this, where I wouldn't give this game anything lower than an 8 for sure at this point. But it does have enough flaws that like I could see people kind of objectively putting in like the 7 range. But personally, I have really, really, really enjoyed my time with it. And I am really curious to see how the ending plays out. So definitely recommend that.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten a chance to hop back into it ever since I downloaded Game Pass and went on it that one day and just went on a rampage where I played that and Ninja Gaiden 2. I literally have not been back on it since, and I have like this guilt within me that like I need to make my endorsement of Game Pass worth it, but I haven't touched it since.
Yeah, Phil stopped sending me the checks, so I really need you to pick that up.
Yeah.
Baby.
Oh man, sorry. Yeah, I'll pick up the pace on that a little bit.
And it's not going to be for everyone. I do think some of the companion stuff is weak. Some of the companions are interesting, but some of them are like kind of actively annoying. And
who's my dude in the beginning? What's his name? The little fish man? Yes.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Kai.
And he is the same
sick
voice actor for Garrus in the Mass Effect games. And so it's kind of an unfair comparison because Garrus is like considered one of the best companions in video game history. And he definitely doesn't reach that.
I don't need to play Mass Effect.
I can't believe you haven't, dude.
I've never played Mass Effect. I have the trilogy like remaster or whatever. I need to play.
You need to just so we can do a tier list for Mass Effect companions. That would be so fun, dude.
That would go hard.
I would definitely need to refresh my memory, but yeah. So Avowed's not perfect, but I just think the combat is so fun, dude. Like I was constantly swapping up my build. It's one of the only games I feel like you can realistically play any build you want at almost any given time. Like at one point I was using a grimoire and a wand, and then I would have a two-handed mace as my backup so that if anyone got close to me, I could just beat the crap out of them. And then I found this super rare two-handed pistol or a two-handed like gun that I could use and charged up these shots that just did a ton of stun and did freeze damage, and so it felt like it was still kind of playing into my main mage build. And then I swapped out my wand for a pistol so that I would have like a dual wielding kind of thing going there. And at one point I had a two-handed, so like I've literally used basically every combination of weapons you could have in this game, and almost every single one of them feels super satisfying and viable without me having to constantly change my build. And it is just so it makes it to where it never gets boring, and it helps because there's so much loot and gear for you to find that it feels rewarding because you can actually experiment with those things rather than like, oh, well, I got this bow, but that's not really what my build is. So that kind of sucks, which I mean,
I was going to say that's one of my big problems. And I know that these kinds of games are not like, they're not like super comparable, but anytime like I play whatever, a Dark Souls or like Bloodborne or whatever, it's like, I want to try a new weapon and like I get the weapon and the weapon is not leveled up at all. I cannot go into the area that I'm currently in to like use that weapon. It's not like that in Avowed, where it's like you can just pick something up and, you know, whatever area you're in, like it's good for that area for the most part.
Yeah, they're really generous with giving you upgrade materials. So typically, if you're really digging and doing the side quests and things like that, you will find things that are at the level that they need to be viable. But even if they're not, if it's something that you still want to mess around with, you almost certainly have the upgrade materials that you can take back to camp to then build them up to where they are.
Gotcha.
And so that makes it feel like it's also worth getting all those upgrade materials because you do get a lot of them. But because there's so many different things that you can use them on, it feels like, oh, there's actually a purpose for this. So it does all kind of feed together. So
yeah,
that's really satisfying.
Okay. Sick.
Yeah, great game. I'd give it an 8 out of 10 for sure, at least right now. I could maybe see myself bumping up to 8.5. I think it'll be in my top 10 at the end of the year, if I had to guess.
Wow.
So,
okay. Very nice.
Last update, just play the Astro Bot DLC. That's all I have to say about it. In case you forgot, like I did for a little while, they added 5 more free new levels to Astro Bot.
Wait, there's 5 more?
Yeah, 5 more speedrun levels.
Like right now?
Right here, right now, for free.
Oh, dude.
And
I gotta go beat all your times again.
Good luck, dude. The theme with this one is that they're supposed to be hard, and they are challenging. If you're trying to speed run them, and obviously there's no checkpoints, so if you die, you have to restart the whole level. They're short, but like they're definitely harder than the other ones. So trying to be efficient and get through quickly, I found to be very satisfying.
Chris, I need one spoiler for these DLC. Mm-hmm. Is there a Square Enix bot in any of these levels?
No, Andrew, there's not.
I'm gonna lose my freaking mind.
I'll never understand.
I hate Papa Square. I hate.
I don't know what they're doing. I truly will never understand how they fumbled that bag.
It's like the freest marketing of all time.
It's
it's just so easy. I just don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like when Astro Bot was coming out, or I guess when it was being developed, was when there were all those rumors swirling of, is PlayStation going to acquire Square, and everyone getting mad at Rebirth for not selling as much as they thought it needed to because it's an exclusive and all these things, and them making a point to say that they want to kind of diversify and put their games on as many platforms as possible. So the only thing I can think of is that either one, they were going to charge ridiculous licensing fees for it, and Astro Bot is not a game that I think was probably made on a budget of one of the Spider-Man games or Horizon, and so they didn't want to allocate that many funds for it. And or they said they didn't want it in there because they didn't want to be, associated as much with PlayStation at the time when they were trying to diversify. Those are literally the only 2 reasons I could possibly think of, and it still doesn't, to me, it still is a sign of bad decision making on Square's part, because it was literally just been free press for them, and
they're just chock full of bad decisions nowadays.
I don't get it. It's super disappointing. They're such an integral part of PlayStation's history, and it is one of the only things I would say is a fault of Astro Bot, and it's not even their fault, so I can't be mad at them for it. But it does annoy me with Square. Yeah. I will say there are still some cool bots in there. There's one big PlayStation one that I didn't realize wasn't in the base game, which is cool. And there's another one that's very nostalgic for me that I really love how they integrate it into the little hub island you go to. So definitely check it out.
I'm excited to see the new ones. I'm glad that you reminded me about it, because I completely forgot about that DLC.
I look back and they were posting every Thursday on Twitter like, oh, it's the new level, which they did the first time. But for some reason, I don't know if just fewer people were talking about it, or it didn't seem to pop up as much in my feed, which is why I just wanted to take a second to remind people that it exists, and it's for one of the best games out there. And so it's just literally free content for a fantastic game. You should definitely go play it.
True.
Only other thing I was going to talk about today, there are two shows I've been watching, but I already feel like I'm going long here. So all I'm going to say is Invincible and Severance both finished since our last episode, and they're both some of the best TV that I think we have gotten in a very long time. Invincible, I really want you to watch it at some point if you feel so inclined and have the time.
I want to really bad.
I think I would put Invincible in my top 5 favorite shows of all time, maybe at this point.
Wow.
I think it's one of the best superhero shows. I think it probably is the best superhero show, barring X-Men 97. Those two.
Okay, I was about to say, hold on. You got to be real careful here.
I thought about this a lot as well. It's really tough.
I've seen everyone on my Twitter thirsting over some villain in, I think it's Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but I'm not sure. Kind of bald, mustache, looks a little older. Like, people just absolutely thirsting over this dude.
They're ready for my arrival, Worm. That's our boy right there. It's the last 2 episodes of that season, season 3 of Invincible, are truly mind-boggling. It's just I'm gonna have to go back and read the comics, which I don't want to have the stuff spoiled for me that's coming up in the show, but I just am so in love with these characters at this point and enjoying it so much that I need more. It's so good. People ragging on the animation. I think it's fine. I think it gets really good at the end, and it just deals with the morality of superheroes in a way that no other shows really feel like they're willing to do. And obviously everyone says the budget goes towards all the voice acting, and that's why the animation doesn't look that good, but the performances are fantastic, so I don't care. They're so good. I just care so much about all
the voice
characters.
cast is insane.
It's so stacked, dude. And even episode 6, I said the last 2 episodes, there's 8 episodes, but 6 through 8 are just all absolute peak, and the whole season is fantastic. It also starts super strong, dealing with a lot of really interesting moral conundrums where I don't think anyone is entirely right or wrong, and you could totally see the logic. So cannot recommend Invincible enough. I know you haven't watched it, and I don't want to spoil it for folks if they haven't seen it, so I won't say any more, especially because I'm blabbing. But please go watch Invincible, and if you have watched it and we haven't talked about it, reach out, because I'm always already talking about Invincible. No spoilers, obviously, for past where you're in the show. And Severance, if you live on the planet Earth, you've probably heard people talking about Severance. We were talking before the podcast, and you were saying you have heard from a lot of people that it's fantastic.
Everyone has been talking about it.
If somehow you don't know the premise, you probably do. It's this company that finds a way to sever your consciousness between when you are at work and when you're not at work. And it all centers around this guy who works for the company that makes that technology, Lumen, and the whole mystery that ensues with what's actually going on where he works there, and all that. And this latest season was just, it took like over 3 years for them to come out, I think, between seasons 1 and season 2. No idea what the holdup was. I know the writer's strike was a part of that, but definitely not the whole thing. But it was worth the wait. And I hope that the next wait between seasons, because it did just get confirmed it will get a season 3, are not nearly as long.
Nice.
But I think...
How many episodes is it?
This one was 10. First season was 9.
10? Okay, cool.
So it's only a 19 episode commitment as of now. The performances are just incredible. I mean, the concept is just so interesting, and they did such a good job with really fleshing it out this season, where they call them your innies, the people who are at the work. You're the version of yourself that's at work, and your outies who are outside, living the normal life.
Crazy.
And the dynamic, obviously, between those two separate characters, it's like you're dealing with a double cast, basically, because those are different people depending on which version of themselves they are. And just seeing the performances for all that are incredible. There's this one guy, Mr. Milchick, who is... What's the actor's name? I need to look it up because I want to make sure that I get it right. He has not really been in anything else. Tremel Tillman is his name. I cannot wait to see more from him. He's going to be in the new Mission Impossible, I think, which is a series that I'm not caught up on, but I'm exclusively going to catch up on those movies just so that I can be ready to see the new one with him in it. He is unbelievable as an actor, and I really can't wait to see more from him and the whole show.
Yeah, we went out to lunch with some of our me and Kayla went out to lunch with some of our friends yesterday, and all of them were talking about Severance. We still haven't watched it, but I've been wanting to watch it, and I think that they explained it well enough to get her on board now. So I think that once we finish Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which we're nearing the end of, we'll I think we're gonna start that up, and maybe I can get her to watch Invincible.
Dude,
who knows?
Invincible's it's such a chill watch. Well, it's not chill because it gets really intense, but like
yeah, I've seen some screenshots. I don't know if it's that chill.
Chill is not the right word. It's digestible. Like I feel like it is
right.
Interesting, is uniquely comic booky in that like there are episodes that feel like I can sense that this was from like the comic of the week, if that makes sense. But it helps to flesh out the world and make it to where it feels like I like feeling like I can tell that it's adapted from a comic book because of that. And there are still overarching arcs that you get to see to their conclusion. And I feel like it's a good balance of that. But because of that, I feel like typically it's easier to get through, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so. Definitely.
All right.
Cool. Sick, man.
All right, I'm done talking. Your turn.
I mean, we can just talk about Daredevil if you want to a little bit. I know that we both have watched it, all 4 episodes, correct?
Correct.
No spoilers here for, the first, we'll call it 5 minutes of us talking about this, because it won't take me very long to get through my spoiler-free feelings on it. I feel like it's great. I mean, I feel like they kind of pick it back up, right where season 3 left off a little bit. Mm-hmm. And kind of like after the events of like Hawkeye and Echo, and I'm with it. I think that they make some questionable choices.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk about whenever we get to spoiler talk. But I mean, they're putting Matt Murdock where he is the best, which is in the courtroom. Like that's like the best part of the show for me personally. I love just watching him just talk and like think his way out of like, how can I possibly win this case?
Yeah.
Like it's so entertaining to me.
It's a courtroom drama more than it is an action show by any, easily at this point in the show, episode 4. I agree with you. It is kind of funny. I'm not as passionate about it as I was about some of the shows I was just talking about. I really love Severance. I do think some of the episodes towards the end of the season were a little, they were purposeful, but they detract a little bit from the pacing, in my opinion, a little bit, but I understand why they were there. Invincible, I have basically no notes on. But Daredevil, it's like, I am still really high on, but I don't find myself thinking about it as much as I was about those two. It's not standing out as much as I wanted to, especially when I think back to how excited I was for the show whenever it was about to come out. But I am still really enjoying it, and I do think it is really good, if not great, at this point. It's
I think that there's a scene or two that is like some like extremely peak just Marvel, like I mean just television.
Yeah. Like
one scene in particular in the most recent episode that just like me and Kayla finished it and we both looked at each other and we were just like, wow.
Yeah.
Like some real like powerful stuff.
I think I am really impressed with what they're willing to talk about in this show. I mean, they're talking about real life problems with our society, and I am shocked that the follow-up to Captain America Brave New World, a movie that was terrified to say anything of note, is this show that is talking about and tackling obvious issues within the structure of our society that I think it's great to see. I think more people would respect Marvel if they were willing to do this more often. And so I think that is easily the show's greatest strength. And on top of the performances that we knew were going to be fantastic, like Vincent D'Onofrio and Charlie Cox. I mean, they are these characters and they're so good at them, and it's worth it just for that. I think it's a great show. I would say it's like an 8, probably, at least at this point. It is really good. It's weird. It sounds like I'm saying that with like a caveat or like there's a but coming, because I do have a couple of issues with it as well. But with it being great, there is, maybe it is just the hangups that we'll get to in the spoilers that are holding me back a little bit. Because I don't want to take away from what I am enjoying about it, and I 100% recommend it. It's certainly great enough to watch. It's just I think maybe it's probably a matter of expectations is probably what it comes down to. Is I was just so excited for this, and I think we have such high expectations for Daredevil specifically because it's been so long since we've gotten it, and because the Netflix ones felt so groundbreaking. And I don't think this is groundbreaking. Maybe that's really what it comes down to, and maybe that's the difference between this and those other shows I was just talking about, that even if I don't think Severance is perfect, it's so weird and unique and a totally new premise that it has, and it has all these really weird, memorable moments. And Invincible is such a different take on the superhero genre. Those two things, you know, help them stand out more. Whereas this stands out from the Marvel fare, but maybe as a whole package is why it's not in that upper echelon for me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I get what you mean about it not really like standing out or being, you know, like I do feel like it's kind of like all on the same level as like season 1 and 3, and then, you know, here's 4 now. Like I feel like they're all kind of like the same note a little bit, which is totally fine. I think, I mean, you know how much I love 1 and 3, and 2 is a season of television.
Oh, we saw the tier list. We saw it, man. We know what you think.
I've thought more and more about season 2 of Daredevil, and I might be coming around on it a little bit.
Wow, no takesy backsies, dude.
Not, yeah, I can't take these backsies, that one, but yeah, I mean, you want to talk some spoilers real quick?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's just dive into what we're.
Yeah, we can just go right into some spoilers. So it's big spoiler talk. I will like wave my hands or something whenever we're done talking about spoilers, if anyone is watching the video version of this. If not, there will be a timestamp down in the description.
Yeah.
But can we talk about this first 15 minutes? What the hell?
Okay,
is going on?
Do you say that in a good way or a bad way? Because I've heard both sides on the opening of this show.
Whenever I talk about questionable decisions, this is what I'm talking about.
Do you mean the killing of Foggy, or do you mean the CGI fest that was that first fight?
I don't even mind the CGI fest.
Because honestly,
not gonna lie to you, I didn't even notice that it was CGI.
I think that has genuinely tainted Mare's opinion of the whole show, because every time I'm like, wow, what do you think of this episode? She's like, I was just glad they didn't have more of that bad CGI. Like, she really hated that first fight. And I get it. It looked weird. I mean, especially when Netflix Daredevil was so grounded and such a big point of love for people were those, you know, one shot takes down the long hallways, and it's obviously all practical, and like I guess we're trying to recreate that here with it being a one shot, and like
I was about to say it was a one shot still,
but like it just didn't look real. It looked fake. And I understand what they were doing with like Bullseye just randomly killing civilians, like just to really show how brutal he was. But in the moment, I was like, what? I can't even tell what I'm looking at right now, because literally just people are getting stuff thrown at them everywhere. I'm like, was this like somehow a concerted effort? Did he have people on his side? Is that Matt and I'm just not seing it right, and he's trying to...
I feel like I needed more context.
Yeah, it was
like going into it.
I did not like that first fight. But as far as the actual act of killing off Foggy, I mean, I'm okay with it. I think
you're such a Foggy hater. God, you're such a Foggy hater. Oh, dude, you get on my nerves.
So I wasn't that upset about it, if I'm being completely honest with you and all of our friends who are listening right now. And I think it served as a good catalyst for Matt. It's such a weird meta place to be in, but I'd heard a lot of people say they thought that was what was going to happen. And so it wasn't as surprising. Obviously, it wasn't like a leak. It wasn't like I knew that was coming, but...
Well, it's because Charlie Cox said something about like, yeah, they made some decisions on the show that I'm not really sure that I would make, but, you know, I don't write the show, or like something along those lines.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and this show had so many reshoots and like total reworks that like, I didn't really have any...
I kind of like... But... I kind of inferred that like that's what he was saying. I expected it like a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
I mean, I think it's good in that it does make this show feel like a little bit of a fresh start. So I really honestly, I don't have any problems with it. I think it serves a purpose, and it, we just saw on the last episode 4, that there's still ramifications for it as far as Matt still not fully coming to terms with it, at least not in what we think will be the final form of coming to terms with it. But I do think the actual process of it happening was a little weird because, okay, one of my biggest hangups on that sequence is like, we don't know why Bullseye did it. Like
we still don't.
He just did it because he's mad, or like, yeah. I don't know. I was trying to think back to season 3. I like watched the whole recap, and so I was like, did I miss something? Does he have something specifically against Foggy or what? I don't understand. I just don't know the motivations behind it. So in that sense, it doesn't work for me because I don't know if I'm missing something or if it's going to be explained. And when Matt was like, yeah, he got life, and that's it. I guess I just didn't really understand if that was supposed to be the resolution because he's locked away now. So it's like, I guess that's it. Yeah.
They always get out.
Always. That's why they, in Marvel, you either die or you come back. There's no in between.
Yeah. There's,
so yeah, I mean,
also Matt throws his man off of like a 5-story building.
He's fine. Yeah.
And the way that I looked at Caleb, I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, what? I don't understand, like, why we're doing this.
Yes. That was my problem with the beginning, is I thought the CGI looked bad. I didn't understand why, from a character perspective, they killed Foggy. I get from a plot point why they did it. And I didn't understand how Dex was supposed to be alive after that, after Matt throws him off. I thought that was going to be the whole thing that kind of made him, like, obviously the trailers were like, I crossed the line, you see the mask falling and stuff. So, like, someone, I think, the two lines of thinking were either he's going to kill someone and feel like he's gone too far and that's why he didn't take it back, or someone, like Foggy, is going to die and that someone else got hurt because of him. Obviously it was the latter. But yeah, all of those things just made it to where it didn't make any sense to me. That opening sequence just very confusing, and I didn't think it read well. So that's a pretty weak note for it to start on, in my opinion.
Yeah, I definitely agree. But then it gives us scenes like when Matt meets up with Frank.
Yes.
Or whenever he finds Frank, and they have this huge, like, I mean, heart to heart almost, like, of him, like, kind of coming to terms with it, and Frank, kind of pushing him, like, to his edge.
Yeah.
Or to his limits. That scene is so, like, John Bernthal is just insane. He's such a good actor, dude.
Yeah.
he makes me feel like so many things whenever he speaks. And I feel like he plays the same character in like every role that he plays. But like but it still does something for me. I don't know if it's just his voice or the way that he says stuff. But
you gotta watch
that scene is amazing.
You gotta watch The Bear. He's definitely very different in that show.
He's in The Bear?
Yeah, he is.
Wow, I really do have to watch The Bear. I didn't realize how big this cast was.
Stacked. It's insane. But
dang.
Yeah. I did love their performances there, but that was another instance where narratively I didn't really understand what was going on, where Matt goes down there, he finds him because he follows the bullet casings from the person who shot White Tiger, and then he kind of they have their confrontation, and then he just kind of leaves. He doesn't really finish that line of questioning, I felt like, about why did this, he acknowledges that, like, okay, it wasn't me, it was one of my fanboys or whatever, which, okay, but like, I don't know. It felt like it was just coincidental that it happened to lead him to Frank if it wasn't Frank, especially because, like, the bullet kind of just went down the drain and then, it happened to be right by him, but it wasn't his. And so, well, are we going to work together to try and figure out who it is, so you don't have this imposter kind of dirtying up your name that feels like something that would bother you? So I didn't love how that played out, though I did really enjoy their interaction and the fact that that's obviously pushing Matt, like you said, one step closer to putting the mask back on. Which, like we said, there has not been a single fight other than that one at the end of episode 2 where he beats up those cops since the first episode. Which we're almost
he's been Daredevil for he's been Daredevil for a total of like maybe 25 minutes in the entire MCU between this and like She-Hulk.
Yeah, which is great. I actually,
which is awesome.
Like you said, I really like that they have restraint for that. But it is surprising.
We'll get it next episode. I can almost guarantee.
Yeah, I mean, they're clearly hitting
episode.
at it with him, like finally going back outside and practicing and things like that, and you get to see the masks that he's acquired over the years and all that. So it is coming,
and all the White Tiger stuff is pretty cool as well. Like,
yes,
I heard a couple podcasts talking about it, or specifically kind of funny when they were talking about it. But when they're in the courtroom and they're like, he didn't have his mystical amulet. He obviously wasn't like going out to do this. And everyone's just like, oh yeah, no, yeah, he didn't have the amulet, you know? Like,
yep, checked out.
So accepting of the world that we're in. I'm like, dang, like that actually, it's so funny, dude. Yeah. But that whole like case, and like Matt kind of like weaseling his way into like, all right, we're not going to talk about the White Tiger stuff until he's like, no, this is the White Tiger. And then he pulls out the mask. It's like, oh, dude.
Yeah, and that's another thing.
He's such a jerk, but he's so cool.
I don't know how to feel about it, because it does feel a little out of character for Matt, in that
it does.
He knows the importance of keeping that identity secret, but I guess it's supposed to show how much he is trying to fight the validity of vigilantes, and that if by doing this he's helping get a vigilante off the streets, and in theory keeping them safer and letting the system do its work, and hopefully clearing his name. So like there is logic behind it. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense, but it does feel a little out of character for him, even in his current form, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
But
all in all, I'm very happy with how the show is going so far, and I'm really excited to see, you know, where we end up and kind of just what happens.
Was the Frank scene the one that you were talking about, that you and Kayla were really...
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I was talking about, my favorite part of the last episode by far was Matt's interaction with that guy, his client that he picks up, that got arrested for stealing the food at the bodega or whatever.
Oh,
and
yeah, okay, yeah, that scene is also wow.
I think it's the best scene.
Don't know how I forgot that scene.
I think that's the best scene in the entire show so far, because it really played with my expectations in a genuine way, like where you go in and Matt is talking to this guy that he it's this case that he has to pick up, I guess, for the firm. I think he has I think he says like, oh, I have to do one of these every now and then to like help out the people who can't afford it.
Yeah.
And it's this guy who you see, he got arrested for stealing like 2 cereal boxes from a bodega or something like that. And when the cops are picking him up, they're like eating the cereal that he stole. And he's like, well, why do you get to eat it if I just got arrested for stealing that? And he was like, oh no, I paid for these. And it's like, well, you don't know if that's true or not, but because he's a cop, you know, it's like, oh, and this guy's a criminal. Well, you know, you just kind of have to take it at face value. And so Matt goes in, and this guy is waiting for his ruling, and he has this history of crime, of like petty crime, of stealing and larceny and all that stuff. And because he has a history, they're saying that he's going to get put away for like what, I think 30 days or something like that. And he's like begging Matt, he's like, all right, man, you're going to go in there and get me probation. And Matt's like, well, I mean, there are multiple people who saw you do this. There's cameras, like, you have a history. I can't do that. And the guy's like he's not making fun of him for being blind, but he is kind of making jokes at his expense about it and not really taking him seriously. And like when Matt is trying to reason with him and be like, I really can't. And he's made to be this kind of annoying guy, I think, who's just not being realistic. And Matt kind of starts to lose his patience, but he's like, whatever, I'll go talk to the people. And he goes in. Another fantastic part of the scene, seeing how much Riz Matt has when he goes to talk to the woman who's honestly, like, I guess
the Riz is off the charts.
Dude, I was like, you already got a woman, Matt. What are you doing? Because they are flirting so hardcore, and they're both so... The chemistry there was really good, I thought. Because he goes in to talk to this woman who I guess works for the court and is like helping him negotiate what the final verdict is going to be. And you know, he's trying to talk her down, and he talks her down to like 10 days in jail or something like that after like a really long back and forth. And he's like, perfect. And he goes back in and talks to the guy, and he's like, I got good news for you, man. Instead of those 30 days, I got you 10 days. And the guy's like, no, I told you I wanted probation. What are you doing? He gets so mad at him, and Matt's like Matt loses his temper and is like, I gave you the best deal you're ever going to get or something like that. You should be thanking me. And the guy goes, you know, these people are more willing to spend 5 times the amount of money to lock me up than they would be to feed me, and talking about how he has been a part of the system that has failed him. And, you know, I can't as elegantly go through his whole dialogue that talks about how he's been a part of the system for so long that it's impossible to get out of. And once you're, you know, incarcerated, then you know, how do you get back out of it? Because you've lost the time and the money and being able to pay for the little things you did have, and you don't have it. It's like it's just such a really unique take on the criminal justice system that I would never have expected to see in a Marvel show, and one that, like, I went on a full range of emotions for this character that is kind of played as like this total jerk initially, and, you know, especially towards a character like Matt that you're already going to be sympathetic towards, but then hearing his plight, I felt was just so real that it was incredibly refreshing. I loved that scene.
Yeah, no, that scene is fantastic.
So it's stuff like that that does make it, you know, I said earlier, maybe the show isn't standing out as much. There are sequences like that that really do help make it stand out. And like the fight where Matt does have against the cops at the end of episode 2, where they are trying to shake down this witness, and he's like, please don't make me do this. Please don't make me do this. And it's like, you think he's talking to them, but I think he's talking to, you know, there's an argument you can make he's talking to himself, you know, don't make me become the Daredevil again. And he just beats the absolute
goes
crap out of them.
Crazy on them.
And that was so satisfying to see. But
I thought he killed him.
I thought he did too. That's one of my.
We were so shocked whenever he was alive, because it looks like he like snaps his neck.
Yes, that was one of
like
my.
whenever he suplexes him.
Yes. That's one of my only other big complaints about the show, is like it feels like it took a little bit of the air out of it, because I was so convinced that nope, that's it. He killed someone, and they're done.
Yeah, it's like 2 episodes that like he kills someone,
and they
like with Bullseye, and then with that, it's like, all right, does anyone ever die in the show?
Yeah. Not even Paul, the guy that Kingpin is holding hostage.
But I'd love to be like killed by Daredevil. Like the plot armor on me would be insane. Like
you're safe for the rest of the season at least. So
yeah,
yeah. So I think it's just a show of ups and downs. Like the ups are really good, and it is the downs are minor things like that, I guess. But you know, little things like that. We haven't even hardly talked about Kingpin, who I think performance-wise is great, and I'm really enjoying his dynamic with Vanessa. But I really am not sold yet on his little social media manager, Daniel or whatever.
Yeah,
I don't like that dynamic, and
really.
Yeah, him and Kingpin. It just feels like Kingpin should be so sick of him. And I understand that in this last episode, they did the most work towards making it a little more believable, where Kingpin at least appreciates and sees just how deeply loyal he is. But that's obviously worth a lot to him. But he feels so annoying to me. He feels so like he's such a weak character that I would think that Kingpin wouldn't respect that of him and would find him grating. Because I guess I do. And so that dynamic is just not working for me. What about you?
I mean, I don't mind it too much. I mean, I do think that like if I am Wilson Fisk and this kid like leaks my plans for the city or whatever, like I'm not giving this kid a second chance. I don't care how loyal or loving or, you know, respectful he is. Like the kid is fired. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, he's not fired. He's dead. I mean, that's what he says.
He's also probably dead. Yeah. If I'm Wilson Fisk, like that kid is dead for sure.
Yeah.
But
they've just built Kingpin.
We can kind of see like where it goes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not like completely like off the train of that yet, but I don't mind it.
I mean,
where we're at.
They just built Fisk up as such a menacing and vicious character in the past that, I mean,
but he's changed, Chris.
I know,
he's
and
changed.
I feel like they have softened him up in the MCU specifically, like since he's been in Hawkeye and from what I've heard from Echo. So it's like, I get it, and I do appreciate the conflict of him trying to be a better person while still clearly having this violent nature that you see him and Matt talk about in their diner scene, which is also fantastic in the first episode. One of the other best scenes in the show is their interaction there. But I don't know. It comes off as a little cheesy to me, I guess. I'm not I love his performance, and I like where I think it is going, but I don't know. I'm not entirely sold on it. But I will say this last episode where he has to go hear the kids sing. We built the city. And he goes to the press conference or whatever, and then he hears the Latvian country people singing it again
in a different language.
That's
so good.
Peak right there. Like,
yeah,
genuinely hilarious.
Me and Kayla looked over each other like, oh snap.
Like, people give Marvel humor a lot of crap, but that is the way to do it. Like, that felt so real. So great show.
Yeah, it's good. I can't wait to see where it goes. And I mean, it's only 9 episodes.
Is it? I wasn't sure if it was
10 episodes.
I thought I heard 10, but
it might be 10.
These Disney Plus shows are always different. Like, they were 6 forever.
They're all over the place.
And now, but I do think this one's more than 6 for sure.
Yeah, this one's definitely more than 6.
It's at least,
because I remember whenever they first announced it, they were like, yeah, it's gonna be like a 22 episode season, like a Netflix like Daredevil. I'm like, guys, I don't know if y'all want to do all that.
Yeah, they're gonna be 5 minutes each, probably, knowing the way Disney Plus does it. But yeah, I think 8 to 10. So
yeah. All right, cool.
Alrighty.
Well, would you like to with the Switch 2 Direct imminent, would you like to give some predictions for the Switch 2?
Do it. I want to hear yours for. You're Mr. Nintendo. I'm Mr. PlayStation. You're Mr. Nintendo. I am
Mr. Nintendo.
The floor. We've come up with what, 5 or 6 each. We'll probably do like our our 3 main ones, and then we can do like either honorable mentions, or we don't know what these are going to be for us, so we also wanted to make sure we had extras in case we have the same ones. So we'll just say that they are, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are definitely like some gimmies.
Okay.
I think Mario Kart, it was already in like the trailer for the Switch.
Yeah, I don't even count that.
So that's a gimme. That's barely even a prediction. A 3D Mario this year, I think, is a gimme. Almost certainly.
Yeah, when we were talking before, like thinking they were gimmies, like that feels like the most obvious one. Nintendo is so weird. Maybe I'm just hoping it's not true because I know you have it drafted on the fantasy league. But I do think it will happen, and I do hope it happens from a gameplay standpoint, because I'm so ready. I can't believe how long it's been since we got a full proper 3D Mario. It's kind of insane.
Yeah.
So
I don't think that a Nintendo console will ever launch again without a 3D Mario or like a big Zelda. My only
hesitation, I guess, is like a 3D Mario and a Mario Kart at launch feels like they're
beautiful.
They're almost over Marioing it. That's maybe a little Mario. And
well, because you got to think too, like that, you have a party game and a single player game.
Yeah. I should have looked this up before. What was the Switch 1 launch lineup?
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I remember that.
Snipper Clips, Super Bomberman R,
and ARMS.
That was pretty much it. ARMS was like a couple months after, I think.
Okay. Yeah, it says,
or maybe like a month after.
1-2 Switch.
Oh yeah, 1-2 Switch.
Just Dance 2017, Breath of the Wild, Skylanders, Super Bomberman, I Am Setsuna, Snipper Clips, Shovel Knight, Treasure Trove, Shovel Knight, Spectre of Torment, and Fast RMX. I don't know what that is. Yeah, so there was the 1-2 Switch was like the party game. Breath of the Wild was the single player game. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. But you also think that Prime 4 is going to be a launch title, don't you?
I'm really convinced that Prime 4 is a launch title.
So if that's the case,
I think that either Prime 4 or 3D Mario is a launch title. I don't think that they launch without a big like single player game.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I just Mario feels that's what the streets have been saying. Obviously, I know everyone thinks that, and it is definitely time. I think it's definitely within the year, probably, but I just don't.
I hope to God that it is a launch title. I bet my friend Paul $500 that 3D Mario would be a launch title. And he has been keeping me to it, and we still have not heard anything. And I'm like hoping and praying to God that we see a 3D Mario next week. Otherwise, I can kiss $500.
Oh my lord, that's you're a bold man. I respect it.
He's he said, "Do you want to bet me all the money in my wallet?" And I was like, "All right, like surely it's not."
Paul doing walk around with $500 in his wallet.
That's what I said. I was like, "What are you doing, dude?"
Wait, this was targeted. He was waiting for this. He said, "Wait."
He like he baited me. He baited me, and I took the bait.
That's insane.
I hate that. Yeah.
No, I think it's very likely, but I do. My only reservation is Mario Kart and 3D Mario, both at launch, feels a little much, but it is within the realm of possibilities for sure.
Yeah, I kind of feel that too. As far as like other stuff goes, these ones are like a little kind of basic. I'll get into some spicy ones here in a sec.
Do you want to go back and forth, or do you want to do all yours? And
yeah, we can go. We can go back and forth if you want to.
Okay. You first, because those first two, those were not really. I mean, Kart obviously not a prediction, and the 3D Mario is popular enough. Yeah. Kind of a whatever.
I think Arms 2 does happen.
Wow.
I do think it happens. I think that they're gonna kind of. I maybe have said this on a previous podcast, but I think Arms only sold good because it was one of 2 or 3 Nintendo exclusives that were currently at that time on the console. So I think that they're going to do it again. I think that Arms will be out by like maybe September or October, and it'll sell another 10 million copies or like ridiculous number. Even though I really like Arms, I do think that it's a really like solid idea, but I don't care that much about it. Maybe, you know, people will have learned their lessons and are like me and will not spend $60 on Arms too. But I do think that it happens for sure. I don't think they put Min Min in Smash without putting out Arms 2. Xenoblade 4 is also the other one that I don't know if it's this year or within the next couple years. And I don't think that it'll be Xenoblade 4. I think it'll be Xeno something, because I think that 3 is the end of like that arc of Xeno whatever. I'm trying so hard not to spoil stuff for you. I want you to play these games so bad, Chris. Yeah, no, so bad. I want you to play these games.
I got the sense that 3 was kind of the end of that. But how much of the team? I mean, I know it was a remake, but there's that Xenoblade Chronicles X that just came out, right?
Yeah, Xenoblade X just came out, which makes me think that like we're a good ways off from the next Xeno something.
Yeah,
but
I mean, I think that they have stuff 2 teams going over there. Yeah. I know, but even for them. What, Xenoblade 3 was 2 years ago only, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's 2023. Yeah, they've been trying to do something Xenoblade every 2 years.
That's kind of crazy. So I don't...
Because it was like, I think Xenoblade 2 was 2017, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition was 2020, and then like every 2 years since then, or 2 or 3 years since then, they've had like something Xenoblade related. So I'm hopeful that, you know, we still keep it going. Because, I mean, they just make some of the best RPGs I've ever played in my life. We'll talk about that in a tier list here in a little bit.
Yep.
You want to go with a couple of years?
Yeah. So my prediction, I'll say my first one, which is that it's going to release at $400.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've heard some people say they think it's coming this summer, but I say nay. I say this thing ain't coming until the fall. I think it released at $400 in the fall, like September, October. That's what I'm thinking.
There's no possible way that we have a Switch 2 Direct next week. I think that it comes sooner than summer.
You think it's coming like in what, like April? Like
I think it's coming in May.
I mean, no.
You don't think it's coming in May?
I think if it.
June at like the latest, dude. There's no way that we have a Switch 2 Direct next week.
Okay, but that's...
And they don't put out that console within 2 months. There's no possible way.
I just feel like they've dragged their feet so much that I do know that Nintendo is usually much quicker with once they announce something, it comes out in a cadence much sooner after that than like a lot of the other big name publishers. But
yeah,
I feel like it's usually like a 6-month turnaround from when something gets announced to when it gets released. And if it comes out in, if the announcement is next week, like I'm thinking Summer Games Fest, right? Like I know that E3 is not like a big thing, but if tomorrow's like a way to, or not tomorrow, next week is a way to share the announcements. Like, we don't have any idea how long this presentation is going to be either, right? They've just said this is where more details will be announced. Like,
yeah, they haven't said anything about the length.
I was going to say, so we don't know if this is like literally just a 5-minute thing where they give us a release date and a price. Is it going to be like a 45-minute thing where we get a full presentation? Is that going to include the stuff that is still coming out to the regular Switch this year, the first Switch 2? Is it like a Nintendo Direct where they just like kind of split there's just so much we don't know.
I'm going to tell you exactly what this Direct is going to be, Chris. Okay. In January of 2017, maybe it was like the end of December. I think it was January though. Switch 1 press conference. All right. It's basically, it was a Direct. 3D Mario announced, Xenoblade 2 announced, Shin Megami Tensei 5 announced, Octopath Traveler announced. Like all of these insane games, Breath of the Wild trailer, like that Breath of the Wild trailer, like the good one, the crazy trailer. Like, and then 2 months later, the console comes out. I think that's exactly what this is going to be. I think that we're going to get an insane amount of like great software announcements, and then I think that within 2 months we will have the console like in our hand.
So then what do they talk about at Summer Game Fest? Do they just not?
Nintendo normally doesn't have. Nintendo's not normally like really present for Summer Game Fest. I don't think.
They're not usually there for the main show, but they usually have a Direct there, don't they? I guess last year they didn't. I don't think.
I mean, they normally have like a summer showcase, yeah, for sure, like a summer Direct, because normally it's February, June, September, yeah, and then they have whatever little indie worlds and like stuff between that. But I think that this is pretty much the June one. I think that we'll get this, and then I think we'll get another one in September, and then maybe next year is when we go back to like the normal February, June, September cycle.
Okay.
But I think it's going to be a really long.
I know a lot of people
really
are,
long Direct.
Are saying summer. I think that is totally possible, but I'm going to predict that it is further out than, especially because of the situation with, like, I know we're not in like a chip shortage right now, but with the like whole tariff situation and trying to figure out the cost of the stuff to be the most cost efficient.
Yeah, that is true.
Because there was that one statement I saw, maybe it was some kind of fun in Games Daily or something, where they were saying, we're doing everything in our power to try to meet the demand that we think will be there for the Switch 2. And it's like, okay, so if you're saying that now, either this is further out than we think, or you're going to have more shortage issues like we've had in the past. So,
yeah. Please, no scalpers, please.
Yeah. What do you think of the price point? Do you think 400?
I think 400 is good. Switch 1 was 300, right?
Yeah.
I think it only makes sense to like incrementally go up by $100 and call it a day. I hope that there's an OLED.
I literally put on here, not a prediction because I don't think it's going to happen, but I wish and would pay $500 for an OLED model.
Easily. I wouldn't even think about it.
The Switch is such an ugly system. But even as someone who doesn't use it that much, my OLED is so pretty. It helps so much. If you play it handheld, like playing Mario Wonder handheld on my OLED, I was like, this is actually a pretty system. And then you dock it and you play Pokemon and you're like, this is actually worse than a mobile phone. But yeah, OLED just makes such a huge difference. And
I know they're gonna piss me off so bad, dude, because they're gonna come out with the Switch 2, and I'm gonna be like, oh yeah, Switch 2, let's go, baby. 2 years from now, they're gonna be like, all right, Switch 2 OLED. I'm gonna be like, okay, dude, like you're gonna milk me for another $500.
It's so long to bring the OLED out for the Switch 1, though. I don't know.
I know,
and I don't know. I feel like there have been leaks where people have seen the rumored specs or whatever, and there was no peep of an OLED model, which is why I don't think it's gonna happen. It just makes no sense to me.
It's so disappointing.
Other than, I guess, to simplify it and to keep price down, but it would easily be the most exciting feature that they could surprise me with next week, is if there is an OLED model, because I am not expecting it, unfortunately. So
sad.
All right, what's your next prediction?
I'm actually gonna take this one off. I wrote down Mario sports games that don't suck, but we'll talk about sucky Mario sports games in just a second. I really do hope that they turn around their their design choices for recent Mario sports games.
It's been a pretty abysmal generation for sports games, unfortunately.
It's tough, dude. Why did they do what they do? They're so bad.
Mario 3-on-3 hoops. That's all you have to do.
I'm saying,
with the Square
bro,
Enix characters specifically.
God, yes, dude. God, I was talking about this in the on my YouTube channel. Me and Kayla watched the last Nintendo Direct that happened, and they added basketball to Nintendo Switch Sports. And I'm like, dude, where's my Mario 3-on-3 hoops? And then not even like 2 trailers later, it's a freaking Looney Tunes basketball game.
I remember that.
I'm like, dude, where is my Mario 3-on-3 hoops? I'm gonna lose my freaking mind.
That was one of my favorite DS games. Dude, my screen was so messed up from me just doing the up and down with the whenever you would go to dunk it and you had to like scratch your screen to try and get the more coins. Oh my god.
Or give me like a Mario Sluggers. Oh, dude. No Mario baseball in this thing is crazy. But my real prediction is, I really do think, I don't know when it's gonna happen, but this is a very general over the next 7 years.
Okay. The safest prediction of it.
We will get a new F-Zero game.
Wow.
This generation. It has been 1, 2, 3 generations since we've gotten a new F-Zero game. I do think, to be a little like on the spicier side, within the first year and a half. I think by winter of next year, I do think that we will have a new F-Zero game. I have absolutely no grounds to base this off of. Absolutely none. This is all just like hopeful optimism. But, F-Zero 99 came out. Technically we did have an F-Zero game on Switch. Technically.
Yeah.
With it being F-Zero 99. But those games are so much fun. Have you ever played an F-Zero game?
I not know.
Brother, go on your Nintendo Switch. Whenever we get off this podcast, you boot up N64, F-Zero X. Such a good time. You're gonna get so mad. The game is so hard. All of them are so difficult. But they're so much fun, and F-Zero GX specifically on the GameCube is it's so much fun, and they actually give a lot of character to like Falcon and like all of the characters like in that universe. Like it's so cool. I just hope that one day we can all appreciate like a current gen F-Zero game.
I was gonna say, I don't think it's happening. I think you're crazy. But if it did happen, what I would really like to see, I mean, I remember the first time I played Melee and I saw Captain Falcon. I was like, who is this guy? He's so cool. Like, he looks so cool. Like, you have such cool design characters. There's the pirate guy that was the assist trophy. I don't remember his name, but I know he's the F-Zero character too.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't think of it.
So it's like you have these really cool character designs. If you're gonna bring them back, like do it in a way, obviously, where you stick to the roots and like have driving as a part of it. But like, I'm thinking like an open world, like a Mad Max style game, not as barren as Mad
that would
Max,
be cool.
but like an open world where you're like driving around in the I don't remember the name of his ship. It's like the
Blue Falcon.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. I was like, that doesn't sound right. Yeah, driving around like the Blue Falcon and like in this world where you're getting to explore and like meeting these characters, like take them out of the cars too. Like I don't want it to just be a racing thing. I don't think that's substantial enough, especially when you already have a Mario Kart game manager. I don't know if you realize that they already have a pretty popular racing game that they've announced.
This is true. But see, this is where the second part of this prediction comes in.
Oh, there's more.
I made a tweet many years ago. I say many years ago. It's probably a couple years ago. There was rumors a long time ago of it was called Star Fox Grand Prix, right?
Mm-hmm.
Star Fox racing game. Imagine, and Nintendo, you guys can pay me for this idea whenever y'all finally make it. But an F-Zero Star Fox crossover game akin to Diddy Kong Racing. You've got the Falcon or the F-Zero characters on the ground. You can fly around in R wings to race. There's still kind of an open world kind of deal, like Diddy Kong Racing. It's probably a really bad idea. But dude, I think, like a modern kind of like Diddy Kong Racing thing, so sick. Yep. Would I be mad that that's my Star Fox game for the gen? Maybe. But if that, that ever happened, dude, I know it's the most ridiculous idea of all time.
No shot. There's just no shot. There's no.
No. There's definitely no shot. That's not a real prediction. That's not a real prediction. But I do. I think that 4K Captain Falcon does get some screen time on the Switch at some point.
Yeah, I hope so. It does feel really underutilized, but I don't think it's realistic. I just don't think it's, unfortunately, popular enough for them to take the time. But I hope I'm wrong.
Terrible.
All right, this next one, I have a couple. I'm trying to figure out which one I want to do, how spicy I want to be. This is like medium spice, I guess. There will be a new IP in the launch window, and it's going to be something mouse-based to try to show off. It's like a Wii Sports 1-2 Switch. There's going to be something like that to highlight the mouse stuff that they have. That is, I can't even say rumored. I mean, they showed it off in the first trailer. I don't know if it will be as like gimmicky as those, but I think that we will get something fresh like that.
Yeah, I mean, I almost feel like a game like that is a given. You know,
yeah.
There's always been a Wii Sports. There's always been a Nintendo Land. 1-2 Switch, and then I feel like that's bound to happen. And hopefully it doesn't suck, because most of those are actually pretty good. I'm a massive Nintendo Land defender. I think that game is magnificent.
It was fun. I really like that one.
Yeah.
All right.
1-2 Switch is okay, but
I haven't played that one, but I heard it was bad. All right. I'll pick another one that's a little spicier. I say new Fire Emblem within the first year. That's what I said.
In the first year? Yep. Yeah, maybe.
I think we're way over.
I was about to say, Engage came out in 2023.
I forgot about Engage.
23.
Oh, yeah. You're right. You're right.
I'm about to say it's been either 1 or 2 years since a new Fire Emblem came out.
I only think about Three Houses because no one talked about Engage. That game flew under the radar so hard.
Oh yeah, big time. I think that we could get like a new like Fire Emblem Warriors game.
Yeah, but that's not exciting.
Oh no, we also did get a second one of those. Never mind.
All right, never mind. God, see, this is why you're Mr. Nintendo. I forget about these things. I mean, I knew that there were more like there was like the Switch or the sports games and like the Nintendo Land. So that one was fine.
And I'm a Fire Emblem hater.
All right. You know what? Fine. Games. I was gonna save this one because I think it's too spicy. I don't even think I fully believe it, but the thought came into my head and I needed to put it into your ears. Now, Andrew,
I don't like how you're starting this.
We haven't talked about this very much on the podcast, but we have something of a bond, I should say. There's a series.
This is correct.
We both love deeply, and has brought us together in a lot of ways over the years. That series is called Kingdom Hearts.
What are you saying, Chris?
And
it can't be.
Kingdom Hearts is a series that has been pretty dormant for a while, unfortunately. Some might say it's been missing a link even.
Oh no!
Kingdom Hearts missing link. It's a Switch 2. Like, go back. Andrew, go back. You're missing the link that I'm building.
No shot. No shot.
Kingdom Hearts Missing Link, the game formerly known as a mobile title only. No longer. It's now coming to consoles, including Switch 2. And we're going to hear about it. Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. Switch 2 game.
Yeah, that's spicy, brother. That's real spicy.
That's why we haven't heard anything about it in so long. It's blown up.
They've done network testing in betas. They've literally done beta testing in like Australia or something.
Yeah, well, they don't get it, I guess.
They could just throw all that junk out the window, right?
Yep. Look, there'll still be a mobile version of it. I'm not saying there won't be. Okay, I'm just saying. Also on Switch 2.
I will give you a 2% chance on that one. 2%. And that's generous. That's very generous.
I was saving it, but all right, I had 2 duds back to back. I had to make a big comeback.
I don't know how I will ever follow that one up.
I should have saved it. Should have saved it for last.
I was gonna say the last one on mine was Nintendo and Square Enix are gonna see the great success that was Super Mario RPG Remake and make Super Mario RPG 2.
Wow. Was it?
I actually think that it would go kind of crazy.
Was it a great success?
I don't know if it was a massive. I don't really know. No grounds to base that assessment off of.
I the music in that game by our queen and goddess Yoko Shimomura, fantastic, so good. But I never finished it. I did not play very much of it at all. Actually, only played it for like 3 hours.
Let me see if there's a 3.14 million units. Not
Which
bad.
is like pennies to Nintendo, but like Square would probably be happy. Well, no, just kidding. They would want like 10 times that because their expectations are always absurd.
Yeah, probably.
I do think it is interesting how many Mario RPGs, not specifically just Super Mario RPG, but also Paper Mario and the Mario and Luigi game. You know, they're leaning more into that, at least recently. And I
think they're leaning more into it, and I think they're kind of trying to test the waters to see which one of those 3 sells the best.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be
as like it's gonna be Paper Mario. I would imagine. I mean, just because everybody already knows what they're getting into with that game, kind of. I guess everybody knows what they were.
I would much rather see more Mario RPG because I feel like they've had their shot with Paper Mario. I know that's the one that people love the most, but like they've had their chance with that series and they fumbled the bag. And like I know people like the old Mario and Luigi's. I know that people didn't really like this new one, I don't think. But you know, I like that those are known more for their humor. I think the Nintendo needs more of that kind of thing. But I think what you could do with a modern, the one we've seen iterated on the least, the one they've taken the least chances in a modern day with is like the pure Mario RPG stuff. And I think that you could do a lot of cool things with that. Look, if they're not going to make a Kingdom Hearts series crossover with Final Fantasy anymore, here's your new series. All right, just throw Clive in there. Throw my boy Noctis into the Mario party. Come on.
That would be crazy. Oh, dude, new Fortune Street game. I don't know if you ever played Fortune Street on the Wii. No. It was like a Mario like Monopoly, but with Dragon Quest characters.
Oh my god. I'm not surprised.
Yeah. But yeah, that's about all that I've got for half reasonable Switch predictions besides F-Zero, Star Fox, Diddy Kong Racing.
My last one is within the first year of the Switch 2's release, we'll get a tease for the next Smash Bros. It won't be a launch title though. It will not come out within the first year, but we will get a tease of it within the first year. And I also oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you could.
Just my last one. I mean, we won't know for like years and years and years and years from now, but my last prediction is that the Switch 2 will not sell as much as the Switch 1. I just don't think they can match how insanely successful the Switch 1 has been.
Yeah, I agree with both of those. I think the Smash one is like Smash Ultimate came out December 2018. So about 2 years, a year and 9 months after the Switch first came out. So I could definitely see within the first year us getting a teaser for it, and surely Sakurai is working on it. Surely. Like there's no doubt in my mind.
This is a question I always ask when Smash gets brought up, the future of Smash, I guess, though. What does the next Smash look like? I mean, you're the expert here. You're out here killing it in tournaments, you know, crushing all of us plebs. I mean, what is the next Smash Brothers when the last one was literally called Ultimate and the entire premise was just making it as big and as grand as possible? And Sakurai even said, I don't know what we would do from here.
Never ask me for anything ever again.
Like, true. We got Sora. Like, we have truly reached the pinnacle of what should have never been possible.
That really is like the big question, is like, what happens to Smash now that they have like quite literally hit like the peak of what Smash can possibly be? Does he try to go for 100 characters? I don't think so.
No, I don't think,
because I really think that he wants to hit 100 characters, but I think we kind of go back to basics a little bit, which, you know, might hurt the sales of it, just because people are going to be like, oh, I want to go play Ultimate with 89 characters and 200 stages, you know, blah blah blah, whatever. But, you know, I think in order to get Smash back on like a realistic track, I think we kind of have to go back to like a 30-40 character roster.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to completely pivot. Like, it has to be...
Yeah, it has to be like a reboot.
Yeah, which, like you said, is going to, I think, hurt it in some ways, because the appeal for a lot of people was just the size of the roster and the variety of it. But it's like... Even then, I mean, part of the other part of the appeal, I think, for a lot of people is the pick up and play nature of Smash. The fact that most people can conceptually get behind it. It's more straightforward than most fighting games. So like, is it still a platform fighter if it's trying to do something totally different to make it feel unique? And if it is, then
I feel like it still has to stay a platform fighter, like almost certainly. I don't think that.
So if it's still a platform fighter and you're narrowing down the roster, what do you do then to make it stand out? And you may not have an answer. I don't. That's why I've just...
Yeah, I'm like...
That's why I think Smash
I've been thinking on this...
Yeah, it's just in such a tough spot, I think.
Yeah. I've been thinking on this for a very long time. Like, for the past couple of years, I'm like, dude, I'm like genuinely nervous about like where Smash goes from here. Because... you know, most people listening to this who know me in real life know that Smash is like a very, very important part of my life. I've been going to tournaments since like 2017 or 2016. Have met pretty much all of my best friends through Smash. Like, I hope that the game comes out and is at least enjoyable enough for me to want to go back to a tournament. Because with where Ultimate is at right now, I have not felt the urge to go back to a tournament in a very long time. Thank you, Minecraft Steve. But I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like, does it go to like Arena Fighter? Like, it's something crazy like that. Like, does it go to like Pokken? Like, I don't think it goes to like any of those kind of
pure 2D. I mean, I think it was pretty clear that the character that Sakurai was most excited about himself was Terry. I feel like that was him. Like, that was, all right, 99 for you, 1 for me. All right. And I just feel like maybe that means he takes it in that direction, something more akin to that, like a traditional fighter, but
maybe.
I don't know.
And dude, that would be so sick.
Yeah.
Like, I would be so down for it. I'm in my old age, I've hopped on the traditional 2D fighter train a good bit. I've been playing Street Fighter 6, Guilty Gear, like Tekken, like, well, Tekken's more 3D, but you know what I mean. Like the more traditional style fighters. So I think that would be a really pretty sick idea, honestly. I don't think that there's any chance that they do it, but I could see it, maybe, just maybe.
It's probably too hardcore for them, but like a tag team Marvel versus Capcom-esque 2D fighter. Ooh. So you can like tag it, like you have like, still in that case you do have to have a big roster, right? Especially if it's like a 3v3 versus like a 2v2.
Yeah. Oh,
like,
Chris, I think you're cooking.
I mean, that would be my dream. I mean, I would be so excited. I haven't even thought of that, because then you still kind of have to have a pretty big roster, because you know you have to have enough to where everyone can have a lot of different teams of 3. But I just feel my one hang up on that is it's so hardcore that I feel like Nintendo might not.
No, dude, you've done it. No, that is now that's my headcanon. That's what's happening.
I love it, dude. I would love for that.
It is going to be still a 2D platform fighter, but it's going to be a tag fighter. Oh,
there you go. You heard it here first. This is the scoop.
Crazy. Oh, dude, you got me so hyped. You got me so hyped right now. I don't know how I didn't think of that. Oh, Chris, dude, you need to be in these studios giving the ideas for the damn games.
Look, dude, Sakurai, if you want some opinions, I'm more than happy to give them to you. That's what I'm here for. Bounce some ideas off of. Part of me, it's like, I feel the same way. Like, not from the competitive standpoint, but Smash is a very important game for me too. And they're truly, even as someone who is a described Nintendo hater by some, there are, I think, only a few trailers in the world, like Kingdom Hearts trailers, that could ever get me more excited than a Smash Brothers trailer. Like, I just want to live in a world where I have that to look forward to again. That's really all I care about.
Yeah.
But part of me is like, I kind of wish Smash would end with Ultimate, because that feels like the perfect ending. But I don't think Nintendo will let it.
It will never end. It will be. I mean, it's gonna be many, many years down the line, but we'll have Smash 20 before long. Like, you know, Nintendo will never give up that franchise unless there just comes a day that it just doesn't sell.
Yeah.
Which I also think never happens.
Yeah.
Smash, Mario Kart, and, you know,
Pokemon,
whatever, and Pokemon,
and Animal Crossing.
There will never not be one of those on any console.
Yeah. No, you're probably right. Which, you know, as long as they find a way to make it worth it, and poor Sakurai can be happy. I just want that man to be happy. He deserves it.
I feel like he needs to write like a handbook for like future generations. Like, this is how you make a Smash game.
That's what his YouTube channel was.
Let me take a nap.
Please let
me take a nap.
His channel was where he uploaded for every day for like years, going into the development of Smash and games in general. I mean, I really want to go do a bigger deep dive into his channel to see some of that, because I know from even the little bits I have seen that it is invaluable, I think, to see how he thinks when you realize how important of a figure he's been in the industry.
Yeah.
So,
dude, do you remember the big plot twist at the end of his YouTube series? I don't know if you ever caught wind of that on his Twitter or anything. Dude, so the very last, whenever he like ended the channel, he posted his last YouTube video, and he came up and he was like, "You guys might notice I'm looking a little bit older. I actually recorded all of these videos 3 years ago or whatever."
Right, yeah.
Like while also making Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah.
What the heck, dude? This man's crazy. He wakes up, makes a video game, comes home, makes a YouTube video, eats some dinner, and goes to bed every day of the week.
And he also talked about, oh, by the way, this cost me like a couple $1 million of my own money to make. It's like an incredibly expensive
to pay the
thing.
editors and like all this. It's like Sakurai is like it. I respect him maybe more than anybody, just for like the grinder that he is. Yeah. Like he just grinds constantly. He needs a nap.
The hustle. He can't be stopped.
Give this man a nap and a beer.
Which is why I think
please.
there will be another Smash, but I just don't know what it could be. I hope it's something kind of like what I predicted, quote unquote. And with that, now this is where we would normally do our tier list as was discussed and or referenced earlier in this episode, but this is actually Chris and Andrew from the future, and we have determined that this tier list might actually be a little bit bigger than we anticipated, and timing wise might not fit into this episode. So we're gonna disregard one aspect of what I said earlier, which is that we will only give you one episode next week. We're going to give you 2 episodes next week. One will just be our tier list that was going to be at the end of this episode of top Switch games. On Tuesday is what we're going to aim to do. So Tuesday the 1st. And that's not an April Fool's joke. Am I right, Andrew? Maybe our ranking will be, it's gonna be crazy.
It's gonna be interesting.
This episode a little bit shorter, but you will have 2 episodes next week to make up for. One will just be our Switch tier list episode on Tuesday, and then later in the week, Thursday or Friday I think, will be our Switch 2 reaction video. So that is something to look forward to. Does that sound good to you, Andrew?
Yeah, that sounds good. Sorry, guys. I have a pretty hard out. I have a concert to go to tonight. Yeah, he's busy partying. I gotta go. I'm get ready for that.
Partying up with my party in Avowed, so I can, let you guys know if the ending is
worth it. Have fun with Avowed.
So we will make it up to you, but thank you all for your patience. Thank you all for your support. And make sure, like I said earlier, just subscribe and you'll get all this stuff as it comes to you in time. But thank you once again, Andrew. Any final words for today?
Nope, that's it. Thanks for listening, guys.
Thank you, everybody. Can't wait to see you whenever we hear more about Kingdom Hearts Missing Link next week in the presentation. But before that, I guess is when you hear the tier list of the best Switch games ever. Okay, thanks. Bye.